You've actually been playing these roles for 2 years, since 2023,
Yes.
I believe.
Yes.
How did that happen? How did the show come to you?
Yeah, just in a sort of, it's not very interesting really, as an audition does, like it's just in your inbox, and I read the script and I fell in love with it, and it was only meant to be for about 6 weeks in a very lovely local North London theatre called The Kiln in Kilburn, North London, and it was 6 weeks in and out, just exploring a little two-person show, and then I was going to leave and see what happens next, and then it just kept getting picked up and up and up and up, and now here we are in New York.
Yeah. You can't just say New York anymore. You can say
New York.
Yeah.
It's a contractual obligation.
When you first interacted with the content, with the material, is what I'm looking for, what about it first spoke to you?
It's just the challenge, really. I think just the sheer volume of text and the way in which you sort of have to play with pacing and the way you say a line, how it changes, and I think I was just really like, it was meant to be 6 weeks, so I was like, this is going to be really hard. So it's nice that this is going to be for 6 weeks, so 3 years later, I'm now here. But it was a really amazing discovery, like throughout the rehearsal process, and the way that it's changed now is really fascinating to me. And I have people at stage all they go, I saw it at the Kiln, and it's changed so much, and I think that's a real testament to our writers, Kit and Jim, and our director Tim, they're just so malleable, and they're like water, genuinely. They just adapt to every situation. So yeah.
Christiana, Vinny, and Phoenix, you guys joined in Chicago. Sorry, Boston. I read Chicago. It's my notes say Cambridge, and I read Chicago. I apologize. It has been a long week. Can you just share a bit about how it came into your life and what the audition process was like?
Yes, it came similar, like in the inbox, and I hadn't heard of the show before. So the first thing I did was listen to the music, and I was like obsessed with it. Then I read the script, got even more obsessed with it, and then I auditioned, and I tried to like psych myself out because I really liked it. So I was like, oh, it's not, you know what I'm saying, it is what it is, because I didn't want to get excited about it and then it not happen. So that was my experience.
Yeah, I had a very similar experience as Christiani, but I actually was unavailable for part of the Boston run. So I kind of thought that part of it wasn't going to end up working out for me. And I think what's meant for you is going to find you, because they were like, we'll work around your schedule. So I ended up doing 2 weeks of Zoom while they were all out in Boston while I was doing a show at BAM. And then I joined them 2 weeks later for the show up there. So
I was the last one to join the process. I got the offer 48 hours before we started in Boston. Crazy situation. I missed my first self-tape email. Finally got back around to it on the second one. Submitted, got the flu, missed the call back. Tim, we tried to do, with the creative team, we tried to do a Zoom. It was an absolute disaster. So we met in a conference room like 40 yards apart. I had a mask on and a fever, and I read through the scenes real quick, and he said it was a Friday at like 6 p.m. and he was like, will you join us on Monday in Boston? And it's just been pedal to the metal ever since.
Did you do the show at that point?
What do you mean?
Like, did you go in with all that text 2 days later?
Not the entire show. We had done at that point, I think it was the cab scene into Mistletoe. It was top of act 2. It was singing New York, and then it was singing About to Go In Act 2 as well. So it was all of that with the flu, with a mask on for Tim. And somehow here I am.
This show sort of joins the pantheon of incredibly beautiful and effective shows that are carried literally by 2 people for the entire, or a very small number of people. You know, like shows like Maybe Happy Ending and shows like that. What is it like carrying a full 2-act musical on your backs the entire time?
It's sometimes challenging, but it's really beautiful. And I always say, I feel like it's written so beautifully that it doesn't feel like that. It feels like it just moves and moves and moves. And it's honestly not until like the end of the week that you're like, whoo, it's just us two. But because it doesn't, it's so smart in that way. That it's really shared, everything's shared, like everything's balanced in a way that like, it feels fast. It feels like there are other people there because the audience is like the third character. So that's my experience. I don't want to speak for everybody else, but for me, it does feel like it just moves.
How about you, Sam?
Me? Yeah, no, I think, what was the question? Sorry.
What's it like carrying a whole show? I mean, musicals are very rarely less than 3 people on a
Yeah.
stage. What is it like feeling like you're carrying the whole show?
Yeah, no, I
together?
think it feels like a two-hander, but then you're constantly reminded that there's a band above you, and we love them, and there's the people, our dressers and our stage crew back, and we love them as well. So the few times we're off stage, we're reminded that there is a village behind us also supporting us. It's not just us doing literally the whole show. Do you know what I mean? So obviously when we're on stage, we feel that responsibility, but we can sort of put or vent any sort of emotions that we have towards the team behind us, and we couldn't do without them.
Do you do anything to stay in it? Because that's a long stretch to stay in character.
Yeah, I think for me, the less I do that, the more grounded I am. Like, I don't think trying to do an exercise or something like that. I think just relaxing and just trusting myself. And there are a few things I do, like stretches and things like that, but other than that, there's not really an exercise, an acting choice or something like that I would like to commit to, because I think the more relaxed you are as Dougal specifically, the more fun you're going to have, and that's literally 98% of his character. It's just fun and optimism. So holding that is important.
Phoenix or Benny? Do you have any?
I mean, kind of similar to what Christiane said, the text does so much of the work and the heavy lifting that it really, if you play the earnest honesty of what Kit and Jim and Tim have created, it's most of the work. So it's really lovely to trust that the text is serving the story and serving the audience and serving us as actors, that we can kind of just embody these 2 people and just put it out to the audience, and that it will work. So yeah, it's a difficult thing to do, but it's also not. It's very, very easy.
Yeah, I guess as somebody who joined 2 weeks after when we were in Boston, it was probably the most daunting thing to start learning, because the first time I got there, they were already running Act 1 and doing scenes of Act 2, and they were like, "Are you ready to jump in, Phoenix?" And I was like, so can we get just a little bit more time on this? But what I will say is, because the writing is so good, and because we all get along so well, the 4 of us have gotten so close in the Boston run and out here, that the show just clicks. The moment you get on stage with one of your friends. I think the first time I went on, I was on with Sam, and I got so nervous. I was like, oh my gosh, I've only been doing the show with Vinny for so long. I've seen Sam do it, every day at this point, but we haven't done it together. And there was one point where he looked at me, and I was like, that's my friend Sam. And we get to play around on stage for 2.5 hours with these wonderful, grounded, beautiful characters. Let's tell the story for these wonderful audience members. And I think from that point on, I've just enjoyed every single time I've gotten to go on. And I think the nerves kind of go away, and the challenge goes away, because you're like, I'm up here with a colleague and a friend, and we get to tell a beautiful story.
Sort of along that line, I mean, well, first of all, I have a question. Obviously I have a question. I have a curiosity. Have you all played with each other at this point? What's that like?
We actually did it all in 1 week. All 4 versions of the show were done in 1 week. And it was, honestly, I know people were sick, but it was the best time. Oh my gosh, every day we were like, so who's on with who? And what happened that night? Wait, I missed it. Tell me what happened this night. I actually ended up watching the show when the 2 of them went on. I sat in a box seat and just was an audience member for the first time, seeing them do the show. It was truly the most amazing week for the 4 of us.
You also learn so much because you get into a rhythm. You were asking earlier about staying in it, and there's so little time off stage that it's easier to stay in it because you're in it a lot of the time, and it never becomes stale because we're having a lot of fun. But the beauty of getting to change it up is that it stays fresh. You learn something, you hear something different, and you're like, oh, that's what. And then you can come back at it with a whole different energy, and it's like a luxury. I feel like being able to do a show like that.
And we've also played off of we'll throw I'll throw to Sam and Sam will throw to me the way I said a line or the way I did intention, and then he'll do that the next night just to mess with it and try it out. And so those things are very alive, and we're just, as Christiane and Phoenix said, we just love listening to each other because there's really no time to sit and not listen to each other. So yeah, we just it's just fun banter for 2 hours and 15 minutes. It's a blast.
The book is, first of all, it's one of the best books I've ever heard in a musical. It's very tight and very comedic. How do you make sure to hit all those beats? And has there been a time where you felt like you totally flubbed it?
Yes.
Next question.
It is such a great challenge as an actor to know that like every night you get an opportunity to make something work or not. And our writer said something brilliant about having like the memory of a goldfish when you're out there, because if something doesn't land, you gotta just keep pushing and trust that it's not that you're not funny, it's that people listen and hear things differently. You just gotta keep going. But it's really good for the ego. You know what I mean? You're like, ooh, baby, that didn't work. Work today. But it's like, I personally, it's really hard, but I really appreciate it because I know it's growing us as people, as artists, to be up, to have that ability to like be fluid like that and not take things personally. That's how I feel. I don't know.
I think too, it's like if you miss one, you got another one coming like 90 seconds later. So it's really great. Or you can, as like a scene partner, you want in SNL with improv, you want to like alley-oop your scene partner to hopefully like if yours didn't land, but like, well, let me help you out here. Because it could just easily, and then you both succeed if like, you pitch something that the other one works. So it's like, you never really miss in a way. Snaps for me. Everyone snap for me.
How did you work on building that trust and chemistry with each other? I mean, Sam and Christiana, you built this incredible onstage relationship. So, did you do anything specific, or did it just come out of the rehearsal process?
Yeah, I think the rehearsal process was a good indication of where we were like pitching our characters, and then the out of work hours where we would like actually get to know each other and figure out who we all were. There was like a real amazing period where we were like, oh, we actually do like each other, and I think the reason that the show is being received well is because our sort of love for each other is translated through our characters, which translates into the work and the way that we our chemistry with all of our chemistries together and individually. There's the real love off stage, which then translates to love being on stage, which then infiltrates into the audience, and that's the main sort of keystone of this show is love. So the fact that there is stuff floating around in the theatre really fuels that. We're not doing that.
Just slave poetry.
Snap for everything. What about now? Y'all have as standbys, you have a very specific challenge with that because it's not the main relationship you work on. So what are some of your secrets for shortcutting that chemistry when you have to jump in at a moment's notice?
I would just say that I think it all started when we were at ART in Boston. I think bringing the same group of people here. So what I say is our chemistry started at frozen margaritas and nachos. We would go out after the show. We would have game nights together. Vinny and I, even during the show for them, we would play our own game that was based off of just like looks at each other. I don't know if any of y'all have played Wavelength. Well, we like to play Wavelength. And you have to like figure out the scale, and it's usually based on a word, but instead Vinny and I decided to go off of vibes and looks. And what was funny is we ended up going on later that week, and our show felt so locked in because we had worked on like the chemistry and the vibes there. And then I think the four of us, we played Heads Up a lot too while we were out there in Boston. And I just think we created, like Sam was saying, a chemistry backstage that no matter what version of the show you see, the chemistry will relate on stage. I say it gives same but different. Yes, every single show.
The real struggle is being strangers, because that's the premise, is that we don't know each other and we have to, we try not to see each other before the show starts. Which, did you notice the other day we did? We did too much time together before the show started.
Did you feel it in
Never
the show?
again.
No.
I could feel it in the show, absolutely. Like I had to recalibrate my brain that like, no, I do not know this person. And so what he's saying has to hit me in a much bigger way than just like, oh, that's Sam. It's like, no, I have no idea who you are. And not seeing him before the show is really, really helpful. And I didn't realize how helpful it was until yesterday.
All that kicking?
Kiki.
Oh, kiki. Yeah, I'm old. What do you do to stay prepared or standbys to drop in very quickly?
And I think Phoenix and I have both kind of clocked this as well. I like to mentally anticipate that I'm gonna do every show. just to like get my body ready, get my voice ready, get everything like eat well, show up to the theater, and then I don't get to go on, and then it's like a nice treat. I can just sit in my dressing room and read. But I always try to like anticipate that anything could happen. But both of the two of them are just rock stars. We went through a crazy Hollywood holiday schedule that they just were absolute warriors throughout. So yeah, that's what I do.
Vinny and I will go through the show every once in a while. We'll be like, you know what? We haven't done rehearsal in a minute. Let's just read through these couple of scenes. And so we'll do the show with them. And then when they get to a song, we'll just skip over it and we'll just keep going. Or sometimes like Vinny will sing New York and we'll sing a few things together. But I think I take a similar but very different approach. I come to the theater assuming I'm never going on. And because I think for me, I want to focus so much on like continuing to live my life, because I think if I get like so afraid that I'm going on all the time, I'll stifle myself from the things that I enjoy as well. So I'm also a fitness instructor, so I will go teach a class or take a class and then get my mind right, and then I'll come to the theater, and I think that actually helps with the stranger aspect of it, because I come in and I'm like, okay, I'm going on. And then it's just like the rush of that there's no time to really think too much about it or get too nervous or get too stressed. But maybe I should do what you're doing, because
I don't know, your sounds
that seems
nice.
like that works a little bit to be prepared.
To be prepared? Oh.
Speaking of preparation, you mentioned eating right. How do you all take care of yourselves to do 8 demanding shows a week?
Recently I've been getting into grapes.
I'm gonna need some context.
He brought a 3-pound box of grapes in 2 days ago.
Really?
And he's almost done.
Yeah.
Is it your
Almost
first?
gone.
Is it your first fruit interaction?
Ever? Yes, I never knew what these were. Just sort of like, what I mean by that is like in the interval, I've started to like eat grapes, and that just helps with my energy levels for the rest of the show. Like just because I've fed myself before the show doesn't mean I've got like loads of work to do. But grapes, guys, if you don't know what grapes are, get on.
They don't have them in the UK.
Stuff. That is wow.
You heard it here first.
We've derailed.
That is definitely unique advice. Christiane?
That's hilarious. I recently went and got a lot of answers actually about my health too. I'm a mom, so I never really finish. I leave the show and then I got a kiddo and then school, so it just never stops. And so I've actually had to change everything I've done, which is be really strict about the different things I'm putting in and making sure I'm taking different supplements, and it's exciting because I'm like, wow, my body now has to function really like a robot. And so that looks like supplements, and it looks like the gym every day except for Sundays. It looks like structure. My daughter comes with me to the gym, so it's no longer intense training. It's more so like, all right, Zora, come on, let me do. And I have to sit up squats, and she right here. So it's not.
How old?
She's 3.
Oh, I have a 2, so I'd be
Oh, do you?
Yeah.
Oh, girl, bring them to the gym. It's giving a run around. You get your steps in. You know what I mean? So it's like, it's a lot of work, but it's like I feel so like I'm on the road to a different level of strength that I've never experienced. I'm really excited about it.
Amazing.
Thank you.
Yeah, I am prioritizing rest. I think that's a huge thing, especially because I am still working my other job as being a fitness instructor. I teach dance cardio 2 to 3 times a week, so that helps with the
305.
305 Fitness.
I was gonna say I want to
Yeah,
come.
please.
Plug it.
We're in Columbus Circle in Williamsburg. I teach 50 minutes dance cardio, generally arms. Is the toning. But I do that as well, and I try to, like Christiane was saying, like work out throughout the week, because running on the turntable is like running on the treadmill, and you're climbing up and down these suitcases, so you really need to work on your stamina and your endurance throughout the show. I'll tell you, the first time I ran on that turntable, I was like, I used to run. Okay, time to get it together. But yeah, prioritizing rest, going home after the show, getting sleep, getting water, those are the main things, yeah.
I mean, now being in New York, because I'm not a native New Yorker, naturally I feel like my endurance, my stamina has just gone up just from walking around this city, one. But we also, our dressing rooms are like 4 or 5 floors up from the stage. So that's that. And then I eat Sam's grapes.
I was gonna ask. Maybe more reasons. Yeah.
You're welcome.
3 pounds.
Speaking of the turntable, actually, it's a good point because the set is another character in this show. It is a deceptively simple but complex piece of art that you have to interact with. How do you keep all that straight? There's a lot of moving pieces.
Sometimes you don't. Sometimes you leave the tip jar on the suitcase and you don't put it away, and it accidentally stays on the stage all of Act 1.
True story.
It's like a technical feat what they achieved with this thing. Nothing ever comes out. We don't really bring anything out on stage or take anything off except for like a couple little moments. But everything is accessible. The closets, the drawers, the trash cans, it's crazy what they've created.
It looks like like an Instagram or TikTok video of like showing how you space it. Because every single piece you open, it's like a whole new
Welcome to my
world.
studio in New
Yeah.
York, and it's like
Flip
our
this up
set.
as a subway
Yeah.
seat. Yeah, incredible.
Our director talks about like the more emotional approach to the set, which is, I'm not going to say it as beautifully as he does, but he remembers when they originally started like planning for things and talking about like the emotional layers of these characters and the baggage that they're carrying in and out, and what does that look like. And Sutra Gilmore, who's the set designer and costume designer, so brilliantly made it like literal and not. Like the literal baggage piled on top of each other and opening and all the layers peeling back, and it's just so like beautiful and intentional in a way that is like really, really special. And it's like just so smart, because it really is, it's just as emotional as it is like technical. You know what I mean?
I think another thing is that I think in recent years in theatre, the audiences have been denied using their imagination. Like it very much is like, and here's a screen of a backdrop, or we're at a school now, or we're at a, and I think there are those really enjoyable shows that dare the audience to just use a bit of abstract imagination, that these suitcases are now subway seats. And we fill that with our physical movement or the sound design. You can hear the trains going by, and I think the simplicity of that, when you focus the lens, it is very enjoyable for us as actors and hopefully for the audience, because their relationship is even more focused now, because there's even less distractions. It's purely just two people just acting in a musical, which is just very rare.
It occurs to me just this moment that it also looks like a cake.
Yeah.
The luggage. Wow, man, that set is something else. Okay. Speaking of, the secret third character in Two Strangers is New York City. We'll say fourth because now we have the set as well. How does it feel to be performing the show here in the city that inspired it?
I've experienced this show in 4 different locations now, 2 different countries, and I think this is the most perfect version of the show I could experience, and I think it is a testament to the audience, the New Yorkers, that they listen with such intention, and they remember things, and they remember tiny details that were referenced in Act 1, and they understand the jokes in such a nuanced way that they're like, oh, we live here. And I think the show is now where it finally belongs, and the audience have just completely elevated the quality of this show. We have made changes in rehearsals for the Broadway transfer, but I personally never expected a response like the ones that we have received and continue to receive. So it is a testament to the audiences, to you guys, and to your love for the show, and how much you laugh, and you recognise how much we need that, because when you guys don't laugh, it honestly makes me so sad. No, but no, it is a genuinely testament. The main change for me is New York audiences. Whether you're from New York or not, if you're a New Yorker or you aren't, there's just an energy level in that theatre that is just different to anything I've ever professionally experienced. Yeah, full stop.
Conversely, has it been hard to be in places that aren't New York while telling such a distinctly New York story?
Me again, sorry. Hi. Just the way that the journey of the show has gone. It's sort of London to America to New York, it sort of got better and better. There's never been like a spike where it was like, oh, that was so. My experience of this show is an evolution of quality and progress and reception. So it's been a perfect sort of order of geographical locations that have just constantly elevated this show to its highest point now. Yeah.
Is there a certain theme or message or feeling that you get with the show that you think perfectly kind of encapsulates the experience?
Oh God, me again.
No, do it.
I would say forgiveness is a massive thing in the show. Obviously, it's a rom-com. We're here to make you laugh, but at the end of the day, these are two flawed, unimportant people who aren't looking to change the world, they're just looking to get by. And these two change each other for who they should be rather than who they want to be. So the main one is self-forgiveness within, forgiveness for others, letting things go, letting your baggage go. Aha, there we go. Those sort of things, yeah.
I would second that. I think something you said too the other day that I loved was talking about like the theme of love in our show. Love between friends, love between family, self-love. There's all these different elements about just how like important it is to use love to like get through your day. And the character of Robin specifically is like struggling in the self-love department a lot of the time. And I think maybe doesn't even realize how much she's struggling with it because her focus is getting through the day, paying her bills, doing what she has to do. And then she has this interaction that maybe puts a bit of a magnifying glass on the lack of self-love and how much the release once she forgives herself and loves her. Like it's just that love that's not always romantic. I think is so good to see on stage because it makes you want to call your grandma after the show. It makes you want to go hit up your homegirl. You know what I mean? It's more far-reaching than I think when our show is described as a rom-com. It immediately sounds like it's romance and it's so much more than that. So that's a very long theme, but.
No, I love it.
And I think true love too only exists if it is given through flaw, like to someone through recognizing their flaws. That's the only way you can truly love someone. And acceptance through that, not of someone who doesn't talk like you or doesn't look like you, but then through that circumvents back to acceptance of self and acceptance of love and acceptance of flaws so that you can give yourself in an honest and truthful way to someone is deeply self-reflective and deeply healing.
Phoenix, any?
Yes.
All
I
that.
agree. D, all of the above.
Yes.
Have you applied any of this to your own lives?
Sort of, not at all. No, I don't know we haven't. Sort of, I would say subconsciously, yes. There is a sort of lessons that you learn and the attitudes that Dougal has that I want to adopt in my personal life. Attitudes that Robin has that I want to adopt. Absolutely, yeah. You sort of learn that, sort of like via osmosis. It sort of just becomes within you without you even realizing. Yeah.
Yeah, literally. I've been saying Robin is not a people pleaser, and I live for that because that's something that I think as actors, as some people, as women in this, as a lot of different things, people pleasing is seems like something you needed to get through, to survive and to thrive. And this character isn't doing it, and I just live for that. So I would love to learn how to do that a bit more.
Phoenix, you said it like a month ago that Sam and I are actually Robin in our real lives, and you two are actually Dougal.
Oh yeah, yeah,
And
we're
it's
Dougal
a-
and they're Robin.
And it is like a weird, the putting yourself in the perspective of the other person on stage is so weirdly cathartic. Doing it opposite, and with the four of us being together, it's just been such a special thing.
Yeah, I would say the show has taught me to be a bit more grateful for where I am in life, even though it's not like exactly where my perfect version of life. But living in New York, you're taking the subway to work, and people are in your way, and then there's the holiday season, and you have 10 shows in 1 week, and there are tourists everywhere, and we love the tourists, but at the same time, they're moving slow. You're trying to get to the theater. You're already running late. The subway's 20 minutes behind, and then you immediately want to have this anger. And I think I even had it on opening night. I was rushing to the theater. Everything was going horrible. And I was walking up to the theater to this show about a guy who comes to New York for the first time, and he's so excited. And I was like, take a second. You're about to open a show on Broadway. You live in New York City. You have a job. Be grateful. Be thankful. Be happy. Take a moment. You can be upset. Take a moment, but be a little bit more grateful and a little bit more thankful for your circumstances, because they could be very different. And so that is what I've been trying to pepper in. So every time the subway makes me 5 minutes late, or every time someone's walking a little too slow in front of me, I have to remind myself that I am thankful and I am grateful for what I have.
Well, if each of you were forced to carry something across a city, this city, what would you choose?
I literally, two of my friends got married about a month and a half, 2 months ago, and they literally asked me to carry their cake across New York, and I would never recommend it to anyone in this room. So definitely not that.
I can't follow that.
Emotional baggage?
Okay, what is something you would, besides a cake, not like to carry across New York City?
Oh my gosh, is there anything made out of glass? Anything that can break? I'm scared. I can barely carry myself across New York, let alone literally for an object.
I'm gonna say furniture.
Oh yeah.
Did we all see them putting the sofa on the subway? It was hilarious, but no, I would not want to do that. A couch on the subway?
I was gonna say, actually, in theme of the show, suitcases. Have you ever traveled to JFK with your suitcases? Transferring? Oh, absolutely not.
And
Putting it, oh god.
you, oh.
Well, it has been such a delight talking with you guys about this show. It really gets into your heart very quickly, and it's so beautiful. So thank you for everything you do to bring it to life. And though, we have a special treat for BroadwayCon attendees. We're gonna premiere, these lovely, lovely humans are going to premiere a 4-person rendition of If I Believe. So I'm gonna leave. Thank you.
Sit.